So today's question is, how do I know if my thyroid is functioning optimally to improve my chances of pregnancy success? Hey there, welcome to Ask the Fertility Experts, a daily Q&A show where we'll be answering your fertility questions. I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile. We specialize in low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, and premature ovarian insufficiency or failure. I will be joined by Dr. Tabatha Barber. She is triple board certified in obstetrics, gynecology, menopause, and functional medicine. If you have a question, simply go to Fab Fertile Inc. on Instagram, leave me a DM and drop your question there, and we will answer your question on an upcoming show. That's Fab Fertile Inc. Okay, so today's question is, how do I know if my thyroid is functioning optimally to improve my chances of pregnancy success? We talked yesterday about the TSH and really how it's not just about the TSH, it's about looking at the full panel and really why is it off to begin with. So I think this is a theme we see with the couples that we work with in our program. It's like 99%. I don't know if I want to say 100, but it's almost there that everyone has got some issue going on in the thyroid. And it definitely was the case for me. I was diagnosed with premature ovarian insufficiency at 28 and my thyroid was off and no one found it until years later. So Dr. Tabatha, your take on this question.
Well, unfortunately, the problem is that conventional doctors are only looking at a tiny piece of the thyroid puzzle. They're usually measuring TSH and free T4. So TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually coming from your brain, from your pituitary gland, and it tells your thyroid to make more or less thyroid hormone. And then free T4 is what your thyroid makes and is available, but it's not even what you're using. And so T4 has to be converted into T3 to be able to send the signals. And then your cell receptors have to be functioning well for the lock to fit, for the key to fit in the lock to send the signal. And then we make something called reverse T3, which acts like a bully and can block T3 from sending those signals. And so what people fail to realize sometimes is that reverse T3 will go and tell the brain the same thing as regular T3. And so your TSH level might be normal because of high reverse T3. So that is a huge, deficiency that we're not taking into consideration in the conventional medical world is we're calling people normal when they are not. And even if you are making enough thyroid hormone, it doesn't mean you're utilizing it. It doesn't mean your cells are hearing the signals. It's so much more complicated of a picture than that. I always think of the book, it was like this huge elephant and these blind mice, and these mice were each feeling different parts of the elephant. And one was feeling the tail and they thought it was a snake. And one was feeling the foot and thought it was, a rock or something. And so each blind mice thought it was a different animal. And so when you get the whole picture of the puzzle, it's such a complete different picture, So what we're doing is we're taking little snippets and trying to guess at how thyroids are functioning. And it's not, it's a huge disservice to people.
And then your take on medication. So many times people have been told that, they look at the TSH, it's potentially over 5, or maybe they feel it's elevated, and then they're given medication and without addressing some of the diet and lifestyle factors as well. So when would we use medication, and the types of medication too?
Yeah. And can I just tell you, as far as medication, if you're taking thyroid medication and you're just measuring TSH and free T4, all that's telling me is you took your pill and your brain heard that reaction. It's not telling me at all what you're doing with that thyroid hormone. So that is another piece to the puzzle that is often missed is, I'm on Synthroid and my TSH and free T4 are fine. All that means is you took your pill. So sometimes you do want to support the thyroid with some thyroid medication because the thyroid is taking on the burden of so many of your other systems that if you are working on adjusting your cortisol production and getting that into check, or you're healing a leaky gut and gut dysbiosis, or you're trying to get your autoimmune disease in check. Say your thyroid's being attacked and because of Hashimoto's. All of that plays a huge burden. And sometimes you need thyroid medication to support you through that process because you aren't making enough thyroid hormone. It doesn't mean you have to be on that medication your entire life. I have Hashimoto's myself, and I have been on medication a couple different times in my life, but it's not a life sentence. It's a reflection of what your thyroid is handling at the time. And so I think it's quite reasonable if you are struggling with infertility and your thyroid is struggling to get your body to feel stable and safe to reproduce, support that thyroid, get on some thyroid hormone. Mm-hmm. Here's the other issue. Sometimes we aren't converting that thyroid hormone T4 into active T3 very well. And T3 is what increases your metabolism and supports your thermostat and supports your fertility and all of those things. And so some people do better on a combination of T4 and T3. I will tell you, some people overreact to T3 because it is in the active, ready to use form. If you're like a slow metabolizer, that medication can build up in your system really quickly and you can feel over medicated. And some people are a fast metabolizer and it goes out of their system right away and they need to take it twice a day. So it is super individualized and it's an ongoing thing that you need to reevaluate because it's not something that you're just going to get put on and that's your dose and that's it for the rest of your life. So it's a dynamic situation, but sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah. And getting your blood work checked and making sure it's monitored. And any thoughts on the desiccated thyroid side of things?
So desiccated thyroid is very popular in the functional space because it's, quote, more natural. It's coming from actual thyroid gland of an animal. There is evidence that if you have an autoimmune process, because it is thyroid gland tissue, that it could exacerbate that autoimmune process. I have seen it go both ways in patients. I have seen autoimmune patients swear by it, like, don't ever take my armor thyroid away. It's the best thing that ever happened. And other people, their antibodies levels go up and it flares everything up. Like I said, it's completely individualized. And so you need to work with a provider who is comfortable using different types of thyroid medication and not just Synthroid, not just, one type, because you might need something different. You might need a compounded thyroid medication made specifically for you. So find a provider who can help you with that.
Yeah, the one size fits all approach may not be right for you.
No.
Thanks so much for being here. If you've got a question that you want answered, simply go to Fab Fertile Inc. on Instagram, send me a DM, and we will answer your question on an upcoming show. That's Fab Fertile Inc. and send me a DM. And please refer to our disclaimer below. Take care.